The letter she never sent. A mother's silent goodb. It was a gray afternoon in the quiet countryside of Yorkshire. The rain had stopped hours ago, leaving a faint mist that wrapped around the stone walls of the little house Emily once called home. It had been 3 months since her mother's funeral, yet Emily had avoided coming back until today. The thought of walking through that door again felt unbearable, but she knew she had the old brass key still fit perfectly into the lock. As the door creaked open, the familiar scent of lavender soap and old wood rushed out to greet her. Everything was still in its place. The porcelain teapot on the kitchen counter, the faded floral curtains, the armchair by the window where her mother used to sit every evening with a cup of tea. For a moment, Emily almost expected to hear her humming softly, the way she always did when she was content. But the house was silent now. She placed her coat on the rack and stood in the center of the room, unsure where to begin. Dust covered every surface, yet beneath it lay decades of memories, each one both comforting and painful. Every drawer she opened, every photo she found, carried a piece of her mother's life and a piece of their complicated relationship. Emily had left this house 10 years ago for London. Her dream was to work in design, to build a life that felt bigger than the quiet village she grew up in. Her mother never understood. "You've always had your head in the clouds," she'd say with a disapproving smile. "And you've always been afraid to dream," Emily would answer. That invisible distance between them only grew with time. Phone calls became shorter, visits fewer. Their conversations turned into careful exchanges, measured, polite, but hollow. When her mother fell ill, Emily told herself she would visit next weekend, but next weekend came too late. By the time she arrived, her mother was already gone. Now, standing in the same room where they used to share breakfast, Emily felt the weight of all the words they never said. As the afternoon sun dipped lower, she moved upstairs to her mother's bedroom. The air smelled faintly of rose perfume and furniture polish. On the dresser, neatly arranged, were old photographs and a stack of letters tied with a ribbon. Most were bills and postcards, but one envelope stood out, addressed in her mother's careful handwriting. "To my dearest Emily." Emily froze. Her breath caught in her throat as she picked it up. The seal was still unbroken. She hesitated, then opened it slowly. Inside was a single sheet of paper, slightly yellowed at the edges. Her mother's handwriting flowed gently across the page. "My sweet girl, I don't know if I'll ever find the courage to send this, but there are things I need to say before it's too late. You were always meant for more than this little village. I know I never said it enough, but I was proud of you, so proud of the woman you've become. I pretended to be upset when you left, but the truth is, I was only afraid. Afraid that once you saw the world, you'd realize how small your mother's love really was. I didn't want to hold you back. I only wanted to keep you close. But maybe I confused love with fear. If you're reading this, it means I never had the chance to tell you how sorry I am for every harsh word, for every time I made you feel less than enough. You were always enough. You always will be. When you think of me, please don't remember the arguments. Remember the mornings we made pancakes, the way we laughed until we cried, the little things that meant everything. Love always, Mom." By the time she finished reading, Emily's hands were trembling. Tears blurred the ink until it almost disappeared. For years, she had carried quiet resentment for the pressure, the misunderstandings, the unspoken distance. But as she read her mother's words, something inside her began to shift. Her mother hadn't been angry when she left. She had been afraid. Afraid of losing her only child to the world. of being left behind in a house too quiet for love. Every knitted scarf, every late-night phone call, every question that once sounded controlling was, in truth, her way of saying, "I love you." Emily pressed the letter to her chest and whispered, "I'm sorry too, Mom." The silence in the room no longer felt empty. It was as if the house itself was breathing again, holding her in its gentle warmth. That night, Emily stayed in her old bedroom. The wallpaper was faded, but the memories were vivid. The drawings on the wall, the books her mother used to read to her, the soft hum of the night wind outside. She spent hours flipping through photo albums. There they were, laughing at the seaside, her mother holding a wide-brimmed hat that kept flying away. Emily smiled through her tears. Before she left the next morning, she sat by the dresser once more. She carefully folded the letter and placed it back in the drawer, but beside it, she left one of her own. "Mom, thank you for loving me, even when I didn't understand it. I'm sorry for the distance, for the silence, for waiting too long to say this. I love you. I hope wherever you are, you're surrounded by light and peace. Love, Emily." She closed the drawer gently, her fingers lingering on the handle for a moment, as if sealing a quiet promise. Then she stood, took one last look around the room, and walked downstairs. Outside, the morning sun broke through the clouds, painting the garden in gold. The air smelled fresh, alive. Emily paused by the front door, her eyes lifting to the window with the lace curtains her mother had sewn by hand. "I'll make you proud, Mom," she whispered, and as she walked down the cobblestone path toward her car, she realized that goodbyes don't always need words. Sometimes, love speaks softly, through letters never sent, through memories that refuse to fade, and through the quiet forgiveness that finally brings peace. Emily smiled faintly. For the first time since her mother's passing, her heart didn't feel heavy. It felt full. And somewhere deep inside, she knew this was her mother's silent goodbye.